Sophie, I'm going to say something today that is going to make a lot of English teachers angry. And I'm going to say it anyway, because it needs to be said.
Okay, I'm bracing myself. Go.
If you are a B2 learner and your English isn't fluent yet, stop studying grammar. Seriously, stop.
Mark.
I mean it. Close the grammar book, cancel the grammar app, stop watching YouTube videos that explain the past perfect for the 15th time. It's not helping you. In fact, it's actively hurting you.
And before anyone closes this video in outrage, let me defend Mark for a moment because he is right. Not in a clickbait way, not in a grammar doesn't matter way, but in a very specific, very important way that almost no one explains.
Here's the thing. If you are a B2 level, your fluency problem is not that you don't know the past perfect. You know the past perfect. You learned it years ago. You can identify it on a test. You can explain it. You can use it perfectly when you write.
So what's the problem?
The problem is that you are thinking about the rule while trying to speak, and that conscious thinking is what's blocking your fluency, not the grammar itself, the act of consciously checking grammar in real time.
And the more grammar you study, the more rules your conscious brain has to monitor. So studying more grammar at B2 level actively makes the problem worse, not better.
This is the great irony of advanced language learning. The thing you've been told will help you is the thing keeping you stuck.
And almost no one tells learners this because grammar study sells. Grammar books sell, grammar courses sell, grammar YouTube videos get views. There's a massive industry built around teaching grammar at every level forever, and nobody wants to tell the customer, you can stop now.
But you can, and today we're going to explain exactly why. We're going to give you a framework for understanding the two types of grammar knowledge. We're going to show you why your conscious grammar brain is sabotaging your speaking brain. And we're going to give you 3 practices that builds the kind of grammar that actually produces fluency without ever opening another grammar book.
Welcome to Side by Side English Podcasts. I'm Sophie.
I'm Mark. Today is for the B2 or C1 learner who has studied grammar for years, knows all the rules, can explain them perfectly, and still freezes in real conversations. And the message of today is liberating. The grammar study is no longer your bottleneck. You can stop, and your fluency can finally grow.
Stay with us. We have the 2 types of grammar knowledge explained, why your conscious brain becomes the enemy of your speaking brain, the grammar reversal theory that flips everything you've been taught, 3 practices that build internal grammar without studying it, a role play showing what mid-sentence grammar monitoring sounds like, and a word tour with 6 powerful B2 to C1 words.
Quick comment question before we begin. Do you agree or disagree with Mark? Should B2 learners stop studying grammar or keep going? Drop your honest opinion. We want to see the debate.
Okay, let's break the rule. So, Mark, let's start with the most important distinction in today's episode, the 2 types of grammar knowledge.
Yes, because once learners understand this distinction, everything starts to make sense. There are 2 completely different kinds of grammar knowledge in your brain, and they live in different places, and they work in different ways, and only one of them produces fluent speech.
Walk us through both.
Type 1. Explicit grammar knowledge. This is the grammar you learned consciously, from textbooks, from teachers, from explanations, from rules. It lives in your conscious brain. It's the kind of knowledge that lets you fill in a blank on a grammar test, or explain why something is correct, or correct someone else's mistake.
And type 2?
Type 2. Implicit grammar knowledge. This is grammar that lives in your unconscious brain. It is not the rule, it is the feel of the rule. When something sounds right or wrong without you knowing why. When a native speaker says, I just know it should be an apple, not a apple. I don't know the rule, it just sounds wrong.
That feeling, that instinct, that is implicit grammar.
And implicit grammar is the only kind of grammar that produces fluent speech.
Stop. Say that again.
Implicit grammar is the only kind of grammar that produces fluent speech. Explicit grammar can correct your writing, it can pass your test, it can sound smart in a discussion, but it cannot produce fluent speaking. Speaking is too fast for explicit knowledge to keep up.
And this is the core insight. Explicit knowledge runs through the conscious brain. The conscious brain is slow. It can only process about 3 or 4 things at a time. Speaking requires processing dozens of things at once, which is exactly what speaking requires.
So when a learner tries to speak using their explicit grammar, they hit a wall. The brain has to consciously check each rule. Is this past simple or past perfect? Does this need an article? Should this be have been or had been? And while it's checking, the conversation has moved on.
And the speaker freezes, or stutters, or produces strange broken sentences, not because they don't know the grammar, but because they're trying to use the wrong system to produce it.
This is the great trap of advanced grammar study. The more grammar you consciously know, the more rules your conscious brain has to monitor, so your speech gets slower, not faster.
And the saddest part is the learner thinks the solution is to keep studying grammar, to learn the rules even better, to finally get the rules so solid that they can be applied in real time. But that solution will never work because the conscious brain will always be too slow for speech, no matter how well it knows the rules.
The solution is not to make conscious grammar faster. The solution is to stop checking, to let the conscious grammar brain go quiet so that the implicit brain can finally take over.
Which brings us to the 3 practices that build implicit grammar without any rule study at all.
Yes, because if learners stop studying grammar, the next question is, well, what should I do instead? And the answer is 3 specific things that build the kind of grammar that actually produces fluency.
Practice 1. Massive comprehensible input.
Comprehensible input is content in English that you can mostly understand. Not too easy, not too hard. About 80% comprehensible. Podcasts, shows, books, conversations. And the rule is you consume a lot of it, hours per week, not as study, as exposure.
And what happens is your brain absorbs grammar patterns automatically, without rules, without explanations. It just notices over and over that certain things go together. I've been comes before participles. Would have comes before if. Articles appear in certain positions. The patterns become instinct.
And this is how children learn grammar. They don't study. They are massively exposed, and the patterns become automatic before they ever see a rule. Adults can do the same thing. It just requires deliberate exposure.
And the proof that this works is everywhere. There are millions of people in the world who speak fluent English without ever studying grammar formally. They learned by exposure, by use, by being immersed in the language. Their grammar is excellent, not because they memorized rules, because the patterns became instinct.
Practice 2. Read aloud to yourself.
This is one of the most underrated grammar practices in existence. When you read English text out loud, your mouth produces grammatically correct sentences without your conscious brain having to think about the rules. The grammar is in the text. You just deliver it.
And what happens is your mouth and your brain start to absorb the rhythm of correct grammar, the way correct sentences feel when spoken, the way they flow. And over time, your unconscious starts to produce that same rhythm when you speak on your own.
10 minutes a day. Any English text, article, book, blog, even a Reddit thread. Read it out loud with expression, not silently, aloud. And you are building implicit grammar with every sentence.
Practice 3. Speak through your mistakes.
The third practice is the hardest one psychologically because it requires you to not correct yourself in real time. When you're speaking and you realize you used the wrong tense or missed an article, you don't go back. You keep going. You let the sentence stand and you move on.
And we covered this in the Spotlight episode, the keep going rule. It applies here too, with even more weight, because every time you stop to fix grammar mid-sentence, you reinforce the conscious grammar habit. You teach your brain, always check, always correct, which is the exact habit you need to break.
When you let the mistakes stand, you teach your brain something different. You teach it your job is to keep flowing. Grammar happens or doesn't, but the conversation matters more. And over time, the brain stops checking, the conscious monitor goes quiet, and implicit grammar starts to take over.
And the surprise is your grammar accuracy actually improves over time when you stop policing it, because the implicit brain is much better at grammar than the conscious brain. The conscious brain knows the rules. The implicit brain feels the rules. And feel is faster, smoother, and more accurate than checking ever was.
3 practices.
Massive comprehensible input, reading aloud, speaking through mistakes. Do all three consistently, even 30 minutes a day total, and your implicit grammar starts to take over within months.
Without ever opening a grammar book again.
And the relief that comes with that is genuine, because most B2 learners have been carrying grammar study guilt for years, always feeling like they should be studying more, always feeling behind, always feeling like the rule they don't know is the reason they're not fluent. And the truth is, the rule is not the reason. The conscious checking is the reason. And once you stop, fluency finally has room to grow.
Okay, let's do a role play so learners can actually hear what conscious grammar monitoring sounds like.
Yes, set the scene.
The scene is someone asks you, "What did you do last weekend?"
Okay.
Version 1, the conscious grammar monitor in full action.
Yeah, last weekend I went, past simple, right. I went to my sister's house. We were watching a movie, past continuous, okay. And then by the time I came home, we had finished the movie. We had been watching it for 2 hours, past perfect continuous, before it ended.
And listen to that. The speaker actually knows all the tenses. They could explain past simple, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous on a test perfectly. But in real speech, the conscious checking destroys the sentence.
The listener has no idea what the speaker did last weekend because the speaker was so busy monitoring tense rules that the actual content never came through. The grammar got in the way of the meaning.
Now, version 2. Same speaker, same grammar knowledge, but the conscious monitor is off.
Yeah, last weekend I went to my sister's house. We watched a movie. We were there for ages. By the time I got home, it was pretty late. Honestly, I was wiped out.
And listen to that. Same speaker, same grammar knowledge, but now the speech is flowing. Some of the tenses are simpler than the speaker could have used. Some might even be slightly imperfect, but the meaning is clear. The personality is showing. The conversation is alive.
And the listener actually gets a story. Sister's house, a movie, late arrival, tired. They understand the weekend. The grammar served the meaning instead of blocking it.
And here's the thing. In version 2, the implicit brain is producing grammar, not perfectly, but well enough. The sentences are mostly correct, the communication works, and the listener doesn't notice any imperfection.
While in version 1, the conscious brain is producing grammar with full focus, with full effort, and the result is broken speech that doesn't communicate.
This is the whole heart of today's episode. The implicit brain, even when it's slightly less accurate, is dramatically more effective at producing speech than the conscious brain because speech is about communication, not perfection.
And once you trust the implicit brain to do its job, your speech improves, even though your grammar checking has stopped.
Word tour?
Word tour.
First word, explicit. Explicit means clearly stated, openly expressed, formally defined. Explicit grammar is grammar that has been formally taught and consciously known. It lives in the conscious brain, and it is useful for some things, but cannot produce fluent speech. For example, explicit grammar knowledge is excellent for writing and editing, but it cannot produce fluent speech because it runs through the slow, conscious brain. Repeat, explicit.
Explicit.
Next, implicit. Implicit is the opposite of explicit. It means unstated, unspoken, felt rather than said. Implicit grammar is the instinct for what sounds right. It lives in the unconscious brain, and it is the only kind of grammar that produces real fluency. For example, the goal of advanced English learning is to slowly move your grammar from explicit knowledge into implicit knowledge, where it becomes automatic and fast. Repeat, implicit.
Implicit.
Next, bottleneck. A bottleneck is a point in a process where everything slows down because too much is trying to pass through too small a space. We use it in business, in traffic, and in skill development. And conscious grammar monitoring is a perfect example of a fluency bottleneck.
For example, the conscious grammar monitor is the biggest bottleneck in most B2 learner speech because every sentence has to pass through it before it can be produced. Repeat. Bottleneck.
Bottleneck.
Next, to internalize. To internalize something means to absorb it so deeply that it becomes part of your unconscious skill set. It is the opposite of memorizing it consciously.
Athletes internalize movements, musicians internalize patterns, and language learners internalize grammar.
For example, the shift from intermediate to fluent is mostly the shift from consciously knowing grammar to having internalized it completely. Repeat, internalize.
Internalize.
Next, counterproductive. Counterproductive means producing the opposite of what you intended. An action is counterproductive when it actually works against the goal it was supposed to achieve. And grammar study at advanced levels is one of the most counterproductive habits in language learning.
For example, continuing to study grammar after B2 is often counterproductive because it strengthens the very conscious monitor that is blocking your fluency. Repeat, counterproductive.
Counterproductive.
And finally, instinct. Instinct is a natural, immediate, automatic response, not learned through rules, not learned through study, built through experience and exposure. Implicit grammar feels like instinct, and that is exactly the goal of advanced English.
For example, native speakers don't think about grammar rules when they speak. They rely on instinct, and that instinct is exactly what advanced learners need to develop too. Repeat, instinct.
Instinct.
6 words today: explicit, implicit, bottleneck, internalize, counterproductive, and instinct. And every one of them is a word that captures something specific about how learning, skill, and fluency actually work.
And they are real, modern, useful English, the kind of words you'll hear in podcasts about psychology, productivity, and skill development. Sophie, one final takeaway for everyone watching.
That if you are at B2 or above and your speech is not yet fluent, the answer is not more grammar. The answer is different practice. Grammar study built your foundation. It got you to B2, and it cannot get you any further. Beyond this point, the very thing that helped you is the thing holding you back.
And the work to break through is not abstract. It is exposure to comprehensible input, reading aloud, speaking through your mistakes without correcting yourself. None of that involves a grammar book. None of that involves a rule. And all of it builds the kind of grammar that actually produces fluent speech.
And the relief that comes with this realization is genuine, because most learners have been studying grammar with guilt for years, always feeling like they should be doing more, always feeling like there's a rule they're missing. And the truth is, you're not missing a rule. You're stuck applying the rules you already have.
Stop applying, start internalizing. Stop monitoring, start trusting. Stop checking, start flowing. And the fluency you've been waiting for finally arrives.
Small challenge before we go. For the next 7 days, do not open a grammar book. Do not watch a grammar video. Do not study a single rule. Instead, do 3 things. Watch or listen to English content for 20 minutes, read English text out loud for 10 minutes, and speak English out loud alone or with someone for 5 minutes without correcting any grammar mistakes you make.
Just 7 days, no grammar study, only grammar use, and see what happens.
And then come back and drop a comment. Tell us, did your speech feel different? Did it flow more? Did the mid-sentence freezes get shorter? We want to hear the experiment results.
Because 7 days without grammar study replaced with active use is enough to feel a shift. And once you feel that shift, you know that grammar study was the bottleneck, not the solution.
I'm Sophie.
I'm Mark. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to consider an idea that goes against everything you've been told about learning English.
Stop studying, start using. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.